Boys, the Oilers lost again. Back-to-back years in Stanley Cup Finals to the Florida Panthers. The real question is, what is McDavid's future? Well, I think he's a UFA in 2 years?
2026.
Next year.
After next season.
He's got one more year left.
He's eligible for extension this summer, right? So
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if he was an NBA player, he already would have been gone. He definitely would have been gone after this performance.
Yeah.
But he's an NHL player, so.
There's the question is like what the team's gonna do for him. Like if I'm him, I'm not signing no extension.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta see what this team does this season to make this roster better because it's a joke of a roster. Like the fact that like Sartar said so many times that Zach Hyman is their only right hand shot and he goes out and now you gotta rely on the next best player is Corey Perry.
Yeah.
Like that's a joke. Like that's like you can't be having that kind of shit in this situation.
Even on that point where Zach, like if you're McDavid, you don't like. There's no rush to sign an extension, right? See what the Oilers are, or see what everyone's bringing in this offseason, right? The cap's going up. If you're McDavid, you know the price you're getting, right?
Yeah.
That's understandable. You're getting the max at like 8 years, right? So see if what the Oilers are going to work around that. If you like it, yeah, sign in like later in the offseason, right? So it's not like a rush or anything. But if you're Edmonton and it's not signed by the trade deadline, then you might want to start panicking.
Yeah. I think last offseason is probably the biggest indicator of how this team kind of functioned over the last year. I felt sound like JP there, kind of smart. I knew what I was saying. I just made a bunch of words up. Just threw a bunch of shit up there. Hope it makes sense. But like losing Holloway and losing Broberg, like obviously were big deals. I think Broberg was like his contract was a lot bigger, so I get why they wouldn't go after him. But Holloway, like we said, with like even Corey Perry, you have Hyman, who's probably the best winger outside of McDavid, Draisaitl. Nugent Hopkins next. Holloway probably would have been the third best player they had up there.
And he brought
right?
speed, right? And then you replace him with Jeff Skinner, who didn't even play sometimes in the playoffs.
And all he did, I think his biggest highlight of the whole playoffs was tapping.
Game 4 though, boys. He gave the pressure. He gave the effort.
He did one tap.
He gave his game.
His whole thing was one tap, and now he's done.
Well, before the season, they had two clear deficiencies, goaltending and defense.
Yeah.
And they did nothing this year to address it.
No.
And look how it blew up in their face.
Yeah.
They just thought we have the two best players in the game, Draisaitl and McDavid. It's going to take care of itself. Yeah, sure, you can get to a certain point, but if they run the same team back, what's going to happen again, right? The likelihood of them winning the Stanley Cup remains low. They got to make big changes like you're saying, Razak.
Yeah, Ekholm is their best defensive defenseman, and he was getting burned this entire series.
And he's like 35 now.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, the likelihood of him returning to form is done.
They're on the point. They're an older team too, right? So you have to get younger. The fact that, like Saraj said earlier, you let Broberg and Holloway, young guys, go. What was the point of that? You could have easily
Broberg could have been your number one guy
with that team,
defensive defenseman, right?
And like another issue with that, they're gonna have to sign Bouchard now too, right? So that's another $10 million right there.
But Gretzky left to LA all these years ago to grow the game in the States, and we've seen what's going on: Florida, Tampa Bay, Vegas, Carolina, all these teams down south. I'm telling you, man, Luka Doncic to LA, they're going to need a star in LA.
Game represent it's already working.
It's already working. You're going to need 97 in LA for the next 10 years.
That might be the boom.
LA or Utah, because they got to go there.
It's not growing in Utah. They could put everyone, an all-star team there. It's not going to grow.
Utah, I think LA is like the spot that if he ends up leaving would be. They'd be calling for him because he's beaten them so many times. He owes them now. He owes them at this point. He owes that franchise some type of help, right?
He's the owner of that franchise.
He has to do the decision, dog. He has to do his own decision.
What about Vegas though? I think Vegas could be like a team that actually goes, hey, like we fucking get shit done. Like Edmonton, they have been a joke as long as you've been there. Like they've had all these top end picks since 2010, and they've barely could put together a good team. They had to get saved by like McJesus himself, and they still couldn't do anything with him. They won to Game 7 last year and get worse this year. JP, you said during the game that Florida. They won the cup. They add Seth Jones and Marchand. Who did Edmonton add? They lost more than they added.
They lost more. They got let two young guys go. They got older. They added Jeff Skinner, and it's just like Victor Arvidsson.
And Backguard.
Knock moves indicative that you're going to win the cup. Right? And I agree with you, Sartaj. I think you hit the nail on the head. You said, what have you shown as an organization that you can build a contender? Since he's been in the league, even those years before, those draft picks, we can talk about it. But
exactly.
This has been like 15 years of a joke that Edmonton's been. Like that's the only way to describe it. This year, the fact that they ran it back and didn't add anyone. And then forget that Jones, Cam Fowler got moved to the deadline. You could have made some of these deadline moves. Marchand, you could have made the money work.
100%.
You could have made the money work on Marchand.
Marchand was what, $3 million? You could have easily added him in.
They gave up a second. That's it.
And that turns into first round. But whatever, you still could have figured it out regardless.
And on top of that, a lot of their old guys, they have no moves. Like you've given new moves to players that don't even deserve it.
Yeah.
So now you've forget Nurse. Like some of these guys don't even deserve it. Right?
Not only that, like if you're Edmonton, if you're serious, you have to move that Nurse contract.
100%.
Oh,
You
you
have
got
to
to move
move
the
it
Nurse
now.
contract, and you better not sign Corey Perry again, because you're just saying I'm doubling down on this shitty ass roster.
Yeah.
Because like, what's Corey Perry gonna do for you for the third? What is he like 40 now? Like,
Yeah.
He's not doing it.
guess what? Jay West isn't saving you now, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's
Corey Perry
done.
scored 10 goals in the playoffs, I think. But I think like Connor McDavid was.
He did
Hyman
return.
assist.
If Hyman was around, Corey Perry probably wouldn't even have like 5
Yeah.
or 4 goals, right? He wouldn't even be doing that much work. He'd be in the bottom 6 the whole time. So I think they've been just making moves, the weirdest moves. They're the oldest team in the league too. So that kind of hurts everything else too. And Nurse contract's on for a long time. Skinner probably gets, I don't know if he gets re-signed in,
No, he has
in a
that
few years. Bouchard's going to get paid. So like what happens with McDavid? That's like the biggest question.
Well, if you're Toronto, you can make a move to McDavid, right? Freeing up
100%.
cap space a lot.
Yeah.
Cap's going up.
Yeah.
Going home.
Every team in the league is going to be clearing cap space if he's going to be on the market.
Yeah.
I think Shatad said it best. I think if I'm Vegas, fuck this year. Let's make some moves to clear some cap space. Let's make some moves to get some good McDavid, get him like quality players. Keep Petr, I don't know, maybe keep Pietrangelo around, but like you can get rid of him. You can get rid of all the old Mark Stone. You get rid of all these guys and keep Eichel. Keep Noah
McDavid,
Hanifin.
Eichel.
You gotta get rid of. No, you gotta keep Eichel. You gotta keep Eichel. You gotta get rid
David
of.
and Eichel on
Yeah,
the same
David
team.
Eichel, the same team.
the same team. There you go. Bring back
The thing is, Razak, those great organizations like Vegas or like Florida, Vegas could go the entire year and like in one day revamp their roster and make the
100%.
top work
Yeah.
on McDavid. And look
Yeah.
what Florida did. They made it work, right?
Yeah.
And then Edmonton just sat back, just lollygagging around, didn't do jack shit. And like, what are they going to do this offseason realistically? Like, how are they going to acquire real talent? Unless they get it through free agency. But again, you're going to be in a bidding war. The cap's going up. Every team in the league is going to be in on these free agents. So like, it's going to be difficult for them to really revamp their roster.
What about a team like Tampa? McDavid.
Oh, I can see that too. You know, if they have
They're getting a little bit older, but you still have like the point.
Yeah.
And so it's really
But like, but Tampa's like basically the same thing. Like he's basically gonna start from the end of like Edmonton's run, anyways.
I think if you're him, you want to go to a team that has like a window that's open a lot longer than a Tampa Bay window that's already kind of closed.
That's
kind of trying to open it still.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you're McDavid, you want to go to a team that actually is starting to compete, or like even like Vegas could restart it all again. They can reopen the window, but I think like. Tampa Bay already got all these contracts signed for such a long time, right? With all
I think they can make moves.
But that's why Shatad and JP said LA's the perfect move, because they're like Kopitar, sure he's gone, but like they got so many young players that their window's gonna be. If McDavid comes in, their window's open for a long time. If they get Marner too, their window's open even longer.
100%.
Like that's
and then McDavid will actually want to go because he played with them on the Four Nations. They played pretty well together in the overtime and all that stuff.
What?
Yeah, the moments.
And I was thinking, with like a young team coming up, what if he moves to anher Canadian team? Montreal.
Oh,
yeah, right. Exactly.
That would be something.
That would be insane.
Or,
that would be something.
Or he pulls a Kevin Durant and he goes to the Florida Panthers. If they lose him again next year. Like, maybe he just goes, I'm sick and tired of this shit. The narrative's going to be insane this year. Like, okay, this all-time great player, he's not winning the cup, despite Edmonton being a fucking crapshoot.
Yeah.
But maybe that's going to put a little pressure on him to be like, you know what, I got to take care of the rest of my career. And it's clear that it's been, 10 years in Edmonton?
Yeah.
11 years with Draisaitl, and like since 2010 that they've had all these picks, and they have yet to really build any formidable contender. Skinner and Picard, that's not a good tandem.
Mm-hmm. The other team I'm thinking is, well, because we talked about this Mitch video, is Anaheim. Him and Mitch, like, what if him and Mitch like agree? Like, like Mitch goes, I'll sign Anaheim, and then he's like, I'll come next year.
Right?
They do a little bit of collusion. They probably got the cap to get both of them. And they still got younger players. They got a bunch of young players that need that growth. That need Shatad probably said in the video, that need that they need to be expedited quickly now. Like it's enough of this shit of them like lollygagging in the bottom four. Yeah, it's enough now. We gotta start making serious moves to them.
We're talking about young teams on the rise. What a team that kind of didn't live up to expectations this year. What about New Jersey? Right, they're gonna have like a lot of young players, and then if you add McDavid to that front, they become like a formidable force.
I feel like New Jersey is one of those teams that just wait for Quinn Hughes now.
Yeah,
like they're eyeing him. They're like, we don't know McDavid. We don't want to give you all that money. We gotta bring this guy too.
Shit,
no,
but
it's just stupid. I'd rather take McDavid over Jack Hughes too.
Yeah,
so let Jack Hughes walk.
So you're saying trade Jack to Vancouver? Keep winning. Okay.
No, they can trade like Timo Meier or move some of their bad contracts, and they can make it work. It's a young team, I guess. I was just thinking about another. There's not many teams I can think of off the top that you can see are on the precipice. But like San Jose's a few years away. Anaheim's a few years away. New Jersey's here now.
Yeah, but like
Vancouver took a step back.
But those two teams, San Jose and Anaheim, is perfect for him because they might be a few years away. But that's like because of him, they're going to grow up to the point where
not San Jose. San Jose for McDavid now.
No, because if you're McDavid, you want to win with the team.
But I'm saying him and Mitch, if they both go to the team.
San Jose doesn't have any defensemen either. They have no prospects.
We'll figure that out.
Edmonton 2.0.
No. Edmonton's the worst of the worst, and that's why it's ended up like this. Right?
No, they got drafted. They can get defensive.
And the funny thing is, their fans are so delusional; they won't even accept this fact. They still think for some reason maybe they got jobbed in this finals. But no, this is an indictment on your team and how poorly built it was. And the cherry on top was the coaching. Like today's game, for example, Chris Nalba, 7 minutes left, down 3-0. Flores got one shot in the period. Let's pull the goalie, right? Like.
Surprise at best, like no timeouts, no talk during the game, anything.
Right.
Yeah.
When they went down 2-0, I think that would have been a perfect time to call a timeout, like let's regroup. All right, like it was just like even after 3-0, that would have been a perfect time to call a timeout.
You can go through the whole series and look at Edmonton each game outside of like the overtime games. The first two games, I should say, but like game 3, 4, 5, 6, they were getting blown out. Most of them, they came back in one of them. That was it. The rest they got smoked.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close. They were not close to being a better team.
Even earlier in the series, like they were so hyper focused on the physicality and like trying to send a message, and it was like, why are you doing that against Florida? You're playing into their hands.
Evander Kane took so many penalties. And it was just useless.
Right.
He was probably in the penalty box more than he was on the ice, which is like why are you putting yourself in a handcuff already?
But that's on coaching, right? Like if you're supposed to be like, all right, guys, let's play our game. Like let's do it our way, right? And instead, this guy just let the inmates run the asylum, didn't do anything, and then the dagger. I hate to bring it up again, but the 7 minutes left, pull the goal.
That's another problem with the Edmonton Oilers. They're too worried about making McDavid happy. They should find a way to have someone where McDavid doesn't have to be yelling at the fucking team Game 7 last year.
Ow! Right fucking now! Fucking I know, but it's happened so many fucking times. But that's not fucking good enough. It's the fucking final.
To get their shit together, they should have someone that's already yelling at the team like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, that's the coach's job. Like, McDavid shouldn't be the one like trying to pump his team up to get going. Like, as a coach, that's what you should be doing. This guy's probably like, I just gotta make McDavid happy and then I'm good. Like, that's not gonna help. It's not working.
And some of these other veterans got to go. Like Nuge, they love the Nuge, but like, what has the Nuge done? And we're from British Columbia, and we're telling you the Nuge hasn't done anything.
Game 4, I'm telling you.
He's hurt, right?
So he's hurt. It's so convenient, but like those sorts of pieces, they haven't shown what these Florida pieces and some of these other players on championship level teams have shown.
Yeah.
Right? Which is, okay, you can't just sit there and look at McDavid and Draisaitl and expect them to carry you to the promised land. You guys are making like $5 million plus. A few forwards on Edmonton are. And they just sat back, just passengers. We're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And really, you guys are 30 plus. You guys have been in the year 10 years. And you guys showed no initiative. And then Corey Perry was the third man, the 40-year-old.
It's just so bad.
Yeah.
You know, now it's gonna be. That's funny. Now see what Stan Williams really made out of. Now he has to rebuild his team. He failed. He already failed once, right?
I think a successful Edmonton team with Nuge on it is with Nuge is up on the third line, and you have McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge.
So
Nuge is not on a wing.
So he basically has to take the Eric Stahl.
Yeah, you have to, because that's how. Look at Florida. They have 4 lines going up and down. This line is McDavid, Draisaitl, split them up. They could carry the rest of the team. And the bottom 6 sometimes pitches. This year, the bottom 6 wasn't that great. Last year, the bottom 6 did pretty well. I think they played better than they were expected to. And then this year, like you just saw, it was McDavid, Draisaitl doing most of the work most of the time.
Yeah, like if you wanted to be the Pittsburgh model, they had Crosby, Malkin, and Stahl.
Yeah.
McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge. Right?
That's the other problem with them is they get into the habit where they're down, and they're like, you know what we gotta do now? We gotta put Leon and McDavid back together. Every single line, every other play is gotta be those two. That's not long term success. That's like we need success. Like they want the success now, right? But it's not gonna help because like once again, who's your third man? It's fucking Evander Kane. It's Corey Perry.
Yeah.
Like what's that gonna do?
And plus, if it's like a 7-game series, that's gonna be dragged, right? You don't want McDavid guys to play like 30 minutes a night then.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like dumb coaching. Just like you bench. What's the name? Kapanen for Arvidsson for no reason. Kapanen had a great game 4. You have momentum. Why are you changing up the lines now? Like that, you should just left it the way it is and play it out. That's rule number 1 of winning any series. Is if you win a game, just let it ride out until you lose. Right?
And then like even on defense, right? Like Darnell Nurse last year played like 19 minutes in the playoffs, which is already kind of like, okay, are you going to address this or are you just going to let it ride? Yeah. They're like, okay, we'll let it ride. And then look how it worked out. Did it work out for them?
No.
Not at all.
I mean, you could have picked up some of these other blue liners that were available AKA, how about the guy on the other team, Seth Jones? Right? And you want to talk about cap hit, you guys could have made that work easily. But anyways, I digress.
He was going to be exposed if he was on Edmonton.
Yeah, he would have been turning over the puck like Bouchard out there every time, getting blown by.
No comment.
But shout out to Chris Knobloch, right? Shout him out. We needed that.
Yeah, he threw in the white
flag. We gotta catch this flight, kids. All right, we gotta go home. I gotta be back dinner.
I got shit to do, man.
Well, that does it for another roundtable discussion video. The end of the season. We're gonna have more content coming out the next few weeks. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll see you in the next one.